This video is intended to describe a light blade talisman named Walela, or Walela, which means hummingbird in the Cherokee tongue. It's a transmutation-based talisman of extremely exotic derivative of that same platform I discuss quite often. So as a preface, the transmutation platform is designed on a very simplistic, grounding closed-loop sequential engagement, which I'll get into right away before I describe any other exotic variables that make this a truly unique, remarkable vibratory piece with all the complexities of its design. The transmutation platform has been in wide distribution for a while now with great success based on the aspect of it being primarily a grounding, purifying, and insulating energy broadband. So I'll be employing my crude chakra map for the visual cues for this video to have full comprehensive dissertation of the intended vibratory output. So the primary blade band right here is the ignition sequence of hematite and smoky quartz running like so up to this first lateral band, up these side bands up here, as well as this lateral band, then closing the circuit right here with this band going back into this to make a containment of the transmutation ratio. And I'll get more into the apex band a little bit later, so I'll describe the primary blade banding before I describe the individual variables. Like I mentioned, smoky quartz and hematite are a wonderful grounding synergistic combination. So you can think of hematite being an iron-bearing metal that's very effective for actually grounding excess energy very quickly through the base, through the earth stars, the chakras beneath your feet, into the earth meridian matrix for reprocessing. So obviously tapping into Mother Earth is the critical directive of this entire broadcast, with many variables to have a successful augmentation of a very diversified platform. In tandem with the smoky quartz, you can think of that also as etheric composting that actually takes all excess energies and makes a very powerful processing or transmutation into negativity into positivity by taking all the excess stray energies, just like the hematite, grounding through the base, into the earth stars, the chakras beneath the feet, into, once again, the earth meridian matrix for reprocessing. I will be saying that a minimum of thrice more times in this description video because that is the critical goal of this device. You can think of that aspect also generating etheric Teflon, which is designed for any incoming energies to the radial auric field to have a safe bypass discharge ground into the earth for reprocessing, which is very good for insulation from high empathy ratios of cross transfers of energy. So you can think of that aspect of being super empathetic and feeling other energies, particularly practitioners working with clients. One of the aspects of why this is in wide distribution is many of those with high empathy configurations feel the energies of other pains in the world through the unified connection to creation. And so this is designed to primarily insulate and make a safe ground so nothing actually sticks to the system of the auric field, of the chakra column, if you would, to always have a safe bypass discharge to disperse and ground the energy before it gets sick and manifest into the system as a discomfort. Hence, like I'll say thrice more times also, this exact platform is in wide distribution for the simplistic goal and effectivity of this design. So the combination of the blade band, once again, that also runs through the entire main primary blade band circuiting of the transmutation ratio is very simplistic, very compact, and very direct and straightforward to really make a very powerful grounding etheric template to safely insulate and discharge excess radial energies into the earth plane meridian matrix for reprocessing so that nothing sticks to the field. Like etheric Teflon, I say once again, is the primary goal of that kind of platform. And this apex band where the necklace actually will hang into right here, this is once again hematite, the iron-based metal heavily utilized in this entire construct to make a very strong grounding of excess energy. It also generates its own form of magnetism, so to speak, where the aura is kind of magnetic from the iron polarity, grounding so much energy so quickly. And the reason why this actually has clear quartz up here as a subcapacitator between the hematite, clear quartz, hematite in the ignition sequence is so the clear quartz can be a neutral programmable energy. So to speak, if you have prayers and intentions for the recipient of this device, more specific, I address this to, you put the energy of the prayer and intention in the device, and the clear quartz can actually be a very neutral program carrier, almost like the chargeable flash drive, if you would, to be a very neutral energy programmer for the entirety of the operating system. So that's why they're there, as well as a natural neutral harmonizer and amplifier of energy, which would be the apex band where the necklace hangs into. Okay, so what makes this a very exotic derivative is extreme complex crystalline ignition order on such a stabilized grounding, transmutation grounding platform. Okay, I'm gonna get right into that now on this side of the blade face. At the very apex right here, at the tip of the blade, if you would, is something called fulgurite, which is actually petrified lightning. So petrified lightning greatly received magical notoriety by particularly First Nation shamans or medicine women for the utilization of using that lightning to say prayers back to Creator, back to Source, if you would. And so that's the aspect of ancient metaphysical usage that's been commonly notarized in First Nation magical traditions. But in a more relevant rendition of this aspect, you take the aspect of energy of lightning, which is literally lightning striking sand, and contains that literally lightning in a bottle of that frequency of that lightning energy, which is very powerful for actually the entire chakra column. Because you can think of the mimicking format of the vibration of lightning, which of course grounds from the above and grounds from the beat in the middle, which is very intense for intentions and prayers, hence the First Nation utilization. Then you run a wire through the hollow of it into the primary wire. It runs that lightning through this entire closed loop circuit. So lightning by itself is very powerful for actually stimulating the entire chakra column in unison in all the subtle meridians to a very high octave, because it literally is the energy of lightning being engaged through the energetic systems of the entire auric field, which is a very powerful stimulant to the entire unified light body of the electromagnetic spectrum of the 7 rays in unison, because it is the power of lightning. And so I might as well get this part of the dissertation out of the way right now too, is that when you take all these different frequencies that are discussed individually as a whole, you can also really take into account that all these frequencies are terminated to a central primary wire, so they're in a closed loop circuit all harmonizing and pinging off each other for an intentional design. So all these aspects are part of a miniaturized, pretty condensed considering the complexity of this device, to be worn in a passive format on the person. So all these other frequencies are all part of a contained closed loop circuit. And most importantly, with all these other exotic variants discussed, is that the entire primary blade band is the primary governing of the energy current. So that takes all these other frequencies and makes a very tangible grounding contact patch through the field, particularly through the Earth Meridian matrix, for processing to make these vibrations anchor and make them real. That is the primary goal of this device in that aspect. Okay, that's enough digression on that subject. So right here, in great prominence, is a lovely green stone named seraphinite, named after the seraphim archangels, found in Russia, but is also, if I had to quantify it, one of my top 5 favorite stones for metaphysical healing utilization. So seraphinite is quite legendary in this timeline, and obviously it's a green ray stone, which is indicative to the heart chakra stimulation, but seraphinite actually stimulates the entire chakra column top to bottom, and is very effective for dismantling energetic codes that basically present themselves as dis-ease on the emotional, mental, and physical bodies in unison, and disperses any kind of patterns of disease through the entire chakra column top to bottom. So you can say this stone by itself is quite the master healer of this timeline, and one of the most potent frequencies for dispelling any kind of forms of dis-ease in all the spectrums. So its utilization in this platform was quite critical for its effective goal to have the recipient be in a very happy, delightful space of a hummingbird, quite simply. Because obviously the designated archetypal name of this device has the crystalline ignition order to honor the name. That is a part of the purpose. So to further augment that seraphinite full embodying healing frequency through the entire cellular respiration matrix, which is the ideal light body configuration basically, and also is very powerful for activating the Kundalini centers in a more gentle, stable fashion that is very inducive to that higher light body pattern of a higher frequency output, with extreme elasticity and smoothness to the emotional body, and quite simply, any kind of tremendous energetic deficiencies compromising the physical integrity are rapidly addressed by this frequency by itself. Okay, moving on to the lovely legendary turquoise. Turquoise, of course, is a stone favorites of millions for thousands of years, and for a very good reason, because it is a lovely blue-ray stone of wholeness. You can think of turquoise taking the entire elemental spectrum of earth, fire, water, and wind, and being a harmonized focus at the fifth chakra, which is, of course, a stone of wholeness, which is also very inducive for pranic energy as well as subtle meridian stimulation. So when you have the combination of all these frequencies, like I've digressed before, they all play off each other for the vibratory goal of a truly beneficent broadcasting device. So turquoise, of course, highlights that extreme clarity by fifth chakra stimulation and oxygenation to the entire energy system. All the subtle meridians, all the chakras, all get a lovely boon and a boost from that particular higher truth clarity focus. And also, since this is obviously a First Nation derived inspired device based on its name, it obviously had to have a prevalent version of turquoise in its matrix to honor its designated purpose in honor of the recipient's request of making the name of this device Walela, which is really beautiful and very cool that a Cherokee tongue name is designated this device. Okay, so once again, here is the fulgurite I described. Petrified lightning, the power of lightning literally running through this device in a grounded, stable fashion, which I'll get more into the different stabilization variables that are under the hood, but primarily starting off the stabilization is this large piece of blue lace agate. So a little dissertation before I get further into the description on this blade face is that agates and jaspers are the most stable vibratory outputs in the mineral kingdom, so the utilization of the different agates and jaspers are the stabilizations of the four elements set in stone. But in this particular device, in great prominence is water elemental blue lace agate. So blue lace agate is obviously one of my favorite stones for practical utilization of keeping the fifth chakra stable and clear, which is obviously self-evidently helpful when you're discussing very far out metaphysical concepts at a consistent rate, such as myself or any kind of spiritual practitioners or counselors. Having the stabilized fifth chakra is a critical aspect of communication of higher wisdom, so to speak. So blue lace agate is very stabilizing to the fifth chakra. As a matter of fact, in my humble opinion, in my R&D of obsessive research and development, is that this stone right here stabilizes the fifth more prominently than any other stone in the mineral kingdom. So there's, of course, many different blue-ray stimulants out there, which I'll describe further, that augment and play off this, but stabilization of that aspect is a critical long-term growth aspect of really stabilizing that fifth chakra continuity to stabilize one's wisdom, to stabilize them into their essence of their truth and who and what they really are in light of creation, which is a gift in its own right. So that'd be the first of the agates, which I'll get further into. This is the section that will actually have this hooding, which I'll get into a little bit later. But first, I'm going to discuss these, what I refer to as dharmic accelerants. These are quite powerful stones, which I'll get into individually. Okay, so this right here, this yellow stone, is known as Libyan gold tektite or Libyan desert sand glass because modern science is still... the jury's still out on its exact designation of its origin, but this stone was utilized by the ancient Egyptian magi and pharaohs for being a very powerful magical stone. As a matter of fact, the pharaohic magi, the court wizards of the ancient pharaohs, would actually go out to remote sections of the Libyan desert to find this particular stone, bring it back, and have the magical craftsmen of that time period in service to the pharaohs, the god kings of that timeline, and have this carved into a scarab beetle to be set in the central power breastplates that the pharaohic god kings would actually wear as an energy conductor that was also a badge of their office. And hence this is a semi-derivative technological concept of the ancient Egyptian pharaohic caste. This utilization is quite critical in its very high potency aspect for aligning one's gold ray manifestation as well as their solar plexus and sacral. So you can think of it as a fire elemental stone with high storm overtones based on its cosmic output nature, which is practically useful for extreme aspects of manifestation, as well as great benevolent, delightful energy and quite an enthusiasm generator, truth be told also, but also is a lovely, powerful manifester stone that is also very intense for manifesting one's highest truth into physical reality. And also their prayers and desires, and of course, like I mentioned, an augmentation with fulgurite makes a very powerful magical synergistic combination. So that is also what I refer to as goldavite, which is a gold ray cousin to the legendary moldavite. Okay, so this green ray stone is quite infamous and potent and of great notoriety in this timeline. Many of metaphysical enthusiasts have heard of the stone by now due to its very notorious aspect of really aligning one's reality or their ideal dharmic blueprint in the green ray heart center to their ideal spiritual configuration. So that aspect is a very powerful synergistic manifester of one's etheric blueprint, which can of course be very dramatically shifting to their reality. And that's why it's became quite infamous. So the big aspect of that exact dissertation right here is with such a complex subroutine around this little dose of cosmic power is to get the most out of this realignment to one's highest dharmic template manifest in physicality, while mitigating all the undesirable results that have been making the stone quite notorious. And that can be said that I've had great success in that exact endeavor with mitigating the undesirable transformation growing pains, if you would, with such a well-contained, grounding, stabilizing, purifying device. So that's another just little cosmic jolt to put the synchronicity ratio of one's highest path obvious to the conscious self, so to speak, and direct alignment with the heart center with the heart of creation. So it's also a stone that's been highly integrated with Grail legend of being a connection to direct source energy. So quite a powerful, famous, mysterious stone. And it is technically a tektite, which actually is oftentimes a product of a meteorite impacting sand, catching that vaporization of that extraterrestrial jolt into reality to manifest as a vibratory output, hence the crystal. Okay. So over here, with all this cosmic amazingness, is the introduction of the classic lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli was a stone utilized in ancient Egyptian times in great notoriety, as well as throughout the modern timelines for thousands of years. So it's quite a famous magical stone, a favorite of many for good reasons also. So lapis right here, of course, has the connotation and connection to Isis, the great ascended master deity of the Egyptian pantheon. So by itself, lapis is a lovely 5th and 6th wind elemental stimulant that actually is very effective for clearing the higher mind and one's soul wisdom manifested into the conscious self of their truth that they know to be fact from the spiritual level. And it's also very powerful for, of course, stimulating the higher mind centers, psychic abilities, things of that nature. And is known as a stone, great stone of past life recall. But anyway, in aspect too, with all this momentous energy, is having the clarity completely exposed to the conscious self of the wielder is the priority. And to further augment the Blu-ray capacity of this device right here is the lovely Larimar. Larimar, right here, is a lovely Blu-ray stone that is a very calming, soothing, higher, calmed mind vantage perspective generator, if you would. So having that kind of soothing Blu-ray complementary frequency in this entire device was quite imperative to honor the designated goal to have the soothing, calm clarity of the highest truth. So Larimar is a lovely 5th and 6th stimulant that really brings oasis of calm, is also very effective for voice projection as well as soothing the throat to speak the truth. So a lot of aspects of this device have a high 5th chakra stimulation in tandem with everything else on this design, which is by design and request. Speaking of the Blu-ray stone, this right here is the legendary blue sapphire in a bead format. Blue sapphire is a powerful corundum, which means it has a dense atomical rate just like ruby, the great stones of notoriety and a true precious stone due to the fact of its extreme metaphysical usage since ancient times, and all kinds of monarchs and patriarchs, Matriarchs and patriarchs of ancient times and royalty castes have utilized that stone with great effectivity to be a stone of wisdom. So, being a blue ray, well, almost indigo frequency, it stimulates the wind elements of the 5th and 6th with extreme precision and unification, which goes lovely in tandem with the blue agate to stabilize that blue ray, of course. I digress back to that, is to also have a very powerful stint or stimulation of the 5th and 6th in powerful unison, to really be in touch with one's highest wisdom in this aspect of this incarnation. So that would be the blade facing, and before I go any further, I will discuss the selenite right here on both sides of the primary blade band. So selenite is a lovely gypsum variant that by itself makes a very lovely 6th, 7th, and non-physical chakra stimulation, as well as a purification for the entire energetic field from top to bottom. So a very advantageous stone that I virtually use in, I would say, 99% light tech that passes through my hands for this distinct purpose. Because having a clear energetic field in tandem with the gateways to the higher self connection of the non-physical chakras to basically dismantle the electromagnetic interference that impedes our natural perception of our highest reality, intangibility, is self-evidently amazing. But in a more practical application that makes it truly impressive, that when you run a current or have a combination sequence of stones with selenite, it takes the entire frequency output algorithm, if you would, and will harmonize the entirety of this structure, purify the entirety of the structure, and amplify them simultaneously. So when you have the trifecta of all these different frequencies discussed, having the platform to purify all the frequencies in tandem, to have them harmonize in tandem, then accelerate them in tandem, that trifecta is quite potent. And hence it's a staple for all light tech for that practical purification, particularly with the antithesis of the primary directive of this energy to be grounded into the earth to make an insulation shield. So you can think it's a two-way transmutation intensity to ensure the contact patch is always getting into the earth, yet the entirety of the purity of the higher centers, making a two-way connection with the soul star and the earth star, is a constant free-flowing field free of impediments. That is the design. And since it's a transmutation device, the black kyanites on both sides of selenite are critical for increasing the contact patch to the earth plane. So kyanites in general are very effective for rapid energy transfers, hence they're another staple in all light tech as well, because having all this energy and then making the safe bypass transfer of the energy is what's critical to actually make it real. So black kyanite is exclusively used by itself in transportation platforms to encourage the transference of all this excess energy to have a very primary ground directive. So the black kyanite, since it's a black ray stone, grounds very quickly into the earth. And so what's important about black kyanite is that it makes a very rapid required grounding that's also very energetic reactive. So you can think of if there's negativity coming into the field, black kyanite is very autoreactive to ensure the displacement of the excess energy, and the contact patch is always uncompromised no matter what. This is one of the great gifts of black kyanite by itself. And so kyanite grounds energy so quickly and also matches the whatever required frequency gap there is into the earth meridian matrix for processing. That's why I said in transportation platforms I exclusively use black kyanite to make sure all this excess energy is directed right through the root into the earth plane, into the earth plane meridian matrix for reprocessing. So that's a critical aspect of this entire design also for practical etheric insulation. So one's auric field is uncompromised by the stray radial energies that the densities of this life has to offer. That is hence why, I say it again, it's been in wide distribution with great effectivity for a good time now for this exact purpose. Okay, so that'd be that entire section. Now I'm going to get into the section where the hood will be. So in honor of Walela being a First Nation named device, of course, after this video is filmed and all these components are described, I'll be installing this buckskin leather, which I'll cut a small piece, perfectly sized parameters to actually be the hood, which will work as a color therapy and insulation, as well as a way to protect all these subtle stones that are stacked in this circuit. So that is exactly why buckskin will be employed, to honor a First Nation derived name device of Walela, which is beautiful. Okay. So this will be a little bit of a jaunt to get through all these aspects, but I'll start off with this guy right here. So this guy is ruby and zoisite. Ruby is the most famous red ray stone in the Mineral Kingdom for a very good reason. It is a great stone of the most powerful enlightened base chakra red ray emanation in the Mineral Kingdom. Hence its utilization is well notarized and is technically a precious stone for this purpose. So ruby by itself is a very powerful enthusiasm red ray grounder, which grounds all the energy, also generates a very enthusiastic energy of passion and all things kind of fiery. Hence, hummingbirds are very passionate, fly up and have a great time. That could be an aspect of a vibrational anchor that's pivotal to honoring the archetypal name. But what's beautiful about this synergistic combination of the zoisite with the ruby in its matrix also produces a very powerful heart-mind coherence. So the green ray of zoisite is one of the more impeccable frequencies in the Mineral Kingdom to generate the impeccable heart-mind coherence. So when you have the trifecta of the stimulation of the zest for life with ruby into the heart, into the mind centers, makes a very powerful dynamic shift frequency to the idyllic etheric template of joy, happiness, light, and love. And also, pretty self-evident too when I say this, that the heart and mind coherence is pivotal in the true pursuit of spiritual path, in my humble opinion. And so having a frequency that really honors that direct connection program, if you would, of the heart-mind coherence is quite in itself a very rewarding sensation to obtain. Because I feel like that's one of the biggest quests of spirituality is the heart-mind coherence. To be in touch with one's true nature, to know thyself. Okay. And right here, next to that ruby and zoisite is black tektite. Black tektite is a result of an oftentimes nickel iron meteorite impacting sand, oftentimes in the China area, just kind of where the polarity of the field of Mother Earth has these cosmic stones land, is oftentimes China. And also Indonesia for that fact, but that's irrelevant. Black tektite is the product of a meteorite impacting the sand and basically capturing that cosmic jolt into 3D reality, which is kind of like obsidian. From a great heat and pressure makes a volcanic looking glass, but this is basically space glass. So what that means is, hence the black ray stone is a very powerful ground up etheric body stimulator by carrying that extraterrestrial jolt into reality. It makes a very powerful stimulant from the bottom of the feet, earth stars, all the way through the base, and then the entire chakra column in unison, which is a very, very powerful high vibration induction frequency, particularly from a ground up capacity, which could be argued to be a grounding stone based on its black ray continuity, but it's more a cosmic element. Makes a very powerful stimulant to the entire chakra column. So obviously having that in the structure is a staple as well to get a very powerful etheric field generator going, to have a cosmic power plant running through this entire circuitry. Okay, so this right here is a black ray stone named shungite. Shungite is very in vogue in this timeline due to its notoriety for being a very effective EMF, 5G, any kind of like raw radial frequencies for this timeline affecting our subtle DNA, aka our healthy, energetic bodies. This is a great mitigator for that exact frequency. So even a small dose in the contained circuit goes a long way, because shungite is a black ray carbon-based purifier. So you can think of it as an etheric charcoal filter, if you would, for energy, particularly when it comes to the 5G's electromagnetic interference generation, to dismantle and discharge all of those frequencies through the body. And another aspect too, shungite's high purification ratio also makes a wonderful purification to the entire cellular structure as a whole, and is very, very effective in small doses even for a very powerful charcoal filter and to transmute negativity into positivity. And under that guy right there is the lovely red jasper, a stone of utilization greatly in antiquity, you could say also, but also a highly underrated stone for the aspect of being the most stable variant of the red ray right here. So you can think of red jasper being the most stable version of stabilized red ray, which is of course our physical strength and vitality, which of course also makes it a great healing stone for that purpose, but highly underrated and overlooked. Hence, I wear actually red jasper on my wrist virtually every day for a stable, consistent, grounded base chakra, which obviously is the foundation calm of the entire chakra column, if you would. So having a strong foundation is evidently important for a healthy, functional life. At least that's my own opinion. I stick to it and I wear it. And to further augment the stabilization, so this aspect goes back to the blue lace agate of being a stabilized variant. These aspects I'll speak of in one segment will be all the agates and jaspers that are integral for having a stabilized output of this entire fuels generation. So next up in the chakra column is fire agate. Fire agate stabilizes the base, sacrum, and solar plexus in tandem. So fire agate's a very fun zest for life kind of stabilized energy, which is very, very useful for the in-the-body experience and the joy, glee for life, and a very passionate stone. But don't worry, there's plenty of different frequencies to be the perfect antithesis for harmonized balance. So next on the agate list is the lovely moss green agate, which is a green ray stabilizer, stabilizing the higher heart, which is also, of course, from that stabilized heart perspective, is very good for anchoring the factory settings of the ideal blueprint, if you would, in physical health. So that's another aspect of stabilization of the green ray of water element. Then transitioning into holly blue agate. Holly blue agate's a very rare variety of agate that actually comes from one mine in northern Oregon. Luckily, I have great access to this particular stone by synchronistic magical means, if I had to argue. And it's very useful because it's a purple ray agate. And so holly blue agate actually makes a very stabilized 6th and 7th stimulation. So it stabilizes the higher mind centers, which is very, very critical for all spiritual pursuits also to be stable and clear in all their perceptions, obviously. So now that I got that out of the way, it's the aspect of stabilizing the red ray, earth, red jasper, fire, fire agate, water, and wind. So with that kind of small frequency configuration, it thereby successfully stabilizes the aspects of earth, fire, water, and wind. So having a stabilized variety of that frequency is very good for long-term whole gains of the entire energy body. And I do believe that would be the entire section where the hood will be installed, finally described. Okay, now I'll be getting up to the main engine right here. This main quartz right here is actually something called golden healer quartz, which is a very powerful gold white light higher heart Christ activator. So a little dose that crystalline direct resonance to creation, it goes a long way in this particular setup to really honor that aspect of the spirit tool that is right here before me, to put one in touch with their divine connectivity, which is always the goal of all tech that passes through my hands into distribution. But that's an obvious dose, and why it's the main engine is put one's resonance field alignment into source receptivity, so that source alignment, which is their dharma or their etheric factory blueprint, so to speak, becomes a prevalent dominant vibration that affects the entire chakra column as a whole. Hence, what happens internally happens externally. So that oftentimes results in one's life becoming a lot better and a more divine pattern, which of course, like a flash drive uploaded into the system, affects all the parameters of closed-loop circuits such as family and friends will be suddenly, the matrix or network, if you would, will have this flash drive uploaded and make a more copacetic reality. That's, at least this is the R&D and the testimonials, if you would, at work when I say that as a part of the dissertation. And all these different frequencies are actually set on a oak core from my lovely backyard. So oak, of course, is a lovely dense atomical structure, hence it's the platform of this smaller device, to be a very strong, stable energy to further stabilize the energy of the primary core of this device. And that will be the conclusion of the crystalline ignition order. I described this section of this primary band. So, of course, also, this buckskin strap will be installed like so on this section to be effectively the necklace. And to really, once again, honor the fact that this talisman at the behest of the recipient is named Walela, which means hummingbird in the Cherokee tongue. It's a very, very beautiful concept. And In summary of this entire device's intention vibratory broadcast, would also be a very powerful full stabilized light body energy generator with the primary goal of always grounding all the excess energy and keeping a strong contact patch with Mother Earth so that any kind of energies that be incoming, frazzling, and radio will have a constant safe bypass contact patch to effectively insulate all radio energies that be compromising the energetic integrity or well-being of the recipient of this device. And like I mentioned, this is a highly exotic derivative of the transmutation platform, which is tried and true with great amounts of R&D and distribution. So it's taking another one of those winning platforms and making it a very exotic, full-encompassing spectrum stimulant with the primary goal of grounding all the excess energy. Alrighty, well, I believe that concludes this description video of Walela. 1,000 blessings, and may the force be with us all.